thank you for the invitation to speak to your students. I know we've tried to do this over quite a long period of time, and it's lovely that today that we are able to do that. My name is Mr. Preston. I'm coming to you from Australia in the state called New South Wales. So that is the same state as where Sydney is located. And I'm coming to you from a rural farming area, and the town is called Griffith. So Griffith is a small city. It has probably around about 20,000 people. Our school caters for students from year 7 to year 12. So our students would range in age from around about 12 years of age through to about 18 years of age. And we currently have approximately 600 students in our school. And our school is very, very multicultural. So we have students from a wide range of nationalities, including a number of students from Indian schools.
Well, I would like to extend my heartfelt congratulations to you for featuring among the top 50 Global Teacher Prize finalists.
Thank you. So that was an ultimate thrill. And I had the great pleasure of going over to Paris to UNESCO for the crowning of the Global Teacher Prize winner, and also the unveiling of the Global Teacher Prize shortage of teachers. And I understand, sir, that you also have been honoured with that privilege. So congratulations to you as well, sir.
Thank you so much. And now my students would like to ask you some questions.
Hello, how are you?
I am fine, sir. How are you?
Good, thank you.
My name is Anusha. I am a 9th grader from the Peak School, Elavaram. My hobbies are reading books, playing games, and watching TV. My life ambition is to become a teacher. Can I ask you a question, sir?
Yes, you may.
What strategies do you use to engage and motivate students from rural and remote communities in STEM education?
Okay, very good question. Students that I deal with actually range from kindergarten right through to year 12. So the program that I look after is a STEM program, and our schools, our kindergarten students are typically around about that 5 years of age or 6 years of age. And we go right through with our programs to students in their last year of high school, which is 18 years of age. We have a number of ways that we engage with our students and to motivate them to be involved in STEM. One of the things that I do have is what I call a lending library of STEM equipment. And so what I'm able to do is I'm able to loan that equipment out to some of our schools that are nearby us. And I go and train their teachers on how to use that STEM equipment and how that STEM equipment can be used in the classroom. We also run a number of clubs for our students. So we have a STEM club, which operates every week. We also run a number of competitions, and our students are really competitive and they like to compete. So some of the competitions that we run include the first Lego League competition, which is for students from 9 years of age through to 16 years of age. And the teams that do really well in that competition can go on to the Australian finals. And if they're good enough, they can actually go on to the world finals, which is held overseas. So, for example, this I believe that America is where some of the world finals are being held. We also run science and engineering challenges. So we have universities that come to our school, and we do whole day events where students have activities and scientific challenges. We have lots of universities that come to our school and to our program. Last week we had the Australian National University in Canberra come to visit us, and they brought with them their solar car, which competes in the World Solar Car Challenge, which is a 4,000 kilometre race in Australia from the centre of Australia, which goes for a couple of weeks. So they brought their solar car in and showed our students all about the solar car and how they made it and how it works and all those types of things. We also have connections with space industries. So we do some experiments where our students do experiments in real time in simulation with the International Space Station. So we've just finished an experiment where they were growing some clover in space to see how food can be grown in microgravity. We have local industry that comes into our school to work with our students. Being a rural community, we have a lot of what we call agri-tech. So a lot of high-tech manufacturing. in the agricultural sector. And so we have a lot of local industries that come in and they work with our students on how to develop their skills. So there's a whole range of ways that we motivate our students, but the most important thing is to give them world-class opportunities that are engaging for them. Our students really like the practical, hands-on activities, and we need to give them activities that are authentic, that have real meaning to them. So one of the really exciting ones that we do with our students is we do the Aeronautical Velocity Challenge. And in this challenge, they need to design and build a rocket. And the rocket competition is who can fly their rocket the furthest. But in doing that competition, they also learn lots of other skills. So they need to learn all about aerodynamics. They need to learn how to draw or ideate their ideas. They need to do an engineered portfolio where they go through the design process and make changes and iterations and testing along the way. They produce a video, so they learn video skills and communication skills. They do a poster. They do an aesthetic rocket where they learn about creativity. So our competitions are not only short, little competitions, but actually have a lot of deep, deep engagement and deep connection with the students learning, far more than just on the surface of what the competition is about. So we find that by using all of those strategies, our kids are very motivated and very engaged in our STEM programs. Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. How are you?
I am fine, sir. Thank you. My name is Pujita, a 9th grader from ZPHS Ailvaram. My hobbies are reading books, playing games, and watching phone. My future ambition is to become an army officer. Can I ask a question, sir?
Yes, you may.
What inspired you to pursue a career in education, especially given your background and the challenges you faced?
Yeah, that's a question that I get asked quite a bit, and it was a feature of my application for the Global Teacher Prize. I grew up in a family where education wasn't a focus for my parents, not because they didn't want to, but they just didn't have the opportunities when they were students growing up. To give you an example, my father left school when he was 12 and my mother left school when she was 14. So they didn't have the privilege of having a proper high school education. And that characteristic was fairly common throughout my extended family, to the point where I decided to go on to do my final 2 years of school in Australia, which we call the HSC, or Year 11 and Year 12. And I was the only person in my family that had done that before. When I finished high school, I did want to be a teacher, but my family couldn't afford to make that happen. There are no universities where I lived. Living in the country, the nearest universities were 500, 600, 700 kilometers away, and we had no family there. So it was obviously expensive, and that wasn't an option. So I started working when I first finished school, and after I worked and saved some money, I had the hunger to become a teacher, and so I basically pulled out all the stops to make that happen. So I travelled 700 kilometers from where I lived to a city called Newcastle to do my teacher training. I worked several jobs. I worked night shifts in places like petrol stations. During holidays, I drove trucks and worked in some fairly heavy labor type industries. I worked in abattoirs. I did whatever I had to do to enable me to satisfy my dream of becoming a teacher. So for me, it was a chance to do something that I wanted to do. I didn't want to follow my family's footpath and work in the transport industry, for example. I'd always enjoyed passing on knowledge to other people, and I've always enjoyed learning. And I spent a lot of time when I was sort of the same age as you guys, playing a lot of sport and doing a lot of sport coaching. And through sport coaching, I found that I really enjoyed doing that, and I could see the connection between that and teaching as well. So teaching for me, it was a chance for me to, I suppose, get a better life for myself, to challenge myself. But more importantly, I just get great pleasure out of passing on knowledge and working with students and helping them to become better people. I hope that answers your question. Good afternoon. How are you?
I am fine, sir. Thank you. This is Kavyasri, a ninth grader from JPHS Ailavaram. Can I ask you a question, sir?
Yes, you may.
What schools are so popular in Australia, public or private? Why?
Thank you. Australia is very lucky. We have a very good education system. The education system in Australia is one that many countries envy. I grew up going to a government school or a public school, and I've spent my entire career teaching in a government school. And I've been teaching, this is my 34th year of teaching, and I think I'll probably do at least 40 years of teaching. And I fully expect that I will spend my whole career working in the public or the government sector. To give you an idea of numbers, there are around about 4 million students in Australia enrolled in schools. And of that 4 million, around about 2/3 of those go to government schools. So government schools essentially are free for families and free for students. And that's one of the big attractions of government schools, and the fact that our government schools are very well regarded, and all of our teachers all do the same teacher training, regardless of what type of school they go to. We have probably 20% of our students in Australia that go to our Catholic or religious schools. And then the remaining around about 15 to 18% of students in Australia would go to our independent, or what we call our private schools. Now, our private schools are very expensive, and for a lot of families, including mine, it's not really an option to send your children to those private schools because the fees are so high. The research that we see on the outcomes of students in Australia, whether they go to public schools, Catholic religious schools, or private schools, is that the outcomes really are quite similar. We don't see a disparity between the results of students. In fact, in New South Wales, where I work in the HSC, very, very regularly, the highest performing students on average are coming from our government or our public schools. So in Australia, it comes down to choice. We're lucky that we have some very, very good choices. The people that choose to send their students or their family to private schools, often it's a historical thing. They went there themselves, or maybe their grandparents went there. But as I said, the government schools in Australia are very high quality. We are very, very lucky to have the quality of public schools that we have. And the fact that they are free or very, very low fee makes them attractive to the vast majority of our families in Australia.
Thank you, sir.
You are welcome. Thank you.
Hello, sir. How are you?
I'm very well. How are you?
I'm Sai, sir. I'm Sai Surya, a ninth grader from GBHS School, Ailavaram. My hobbies are reading books, playing games, and watching TV. Here, I want to ask a question. Can I ask, sir?
Yes. What is your question?
How did you come up with the idea for the NSW, which was team, and what is its most significant achievement so far?
Okay, thank you. So the NSW VSA, that stands for the New South Wales Virtual STEM Academy. Now, we have a number of states in Australia, and so I'm coming to you from New South Wales. The state above us is Queensland, and in Queensland, they actually had the Queensland Virtual STEM Academy a couple of years before we started the New South Wales Virtual STEM Academy in New South Wales. So the way that I got involved in this particular program is that we had done some research, and because my STEM program that I operate with caters for students in rural and regional and remote parts of New South Wales, where distance is a big problem. We looked at how can we deliver quality STEM programs to students over a really wide geographical footprint in New South Wales. And what we found is that in Queensland, they had already looked at that problem and they had implemented the Queensland Virtual STEM Academy. So I was very lucky that they invited me to learn about their program, and they spent a lot of time basically training and teaching me on how their program came about and how it works. And then I had the task of implementing that in New South Wales. And that in itself had a number of challenges along the way. We had a number of challenges with software, because the program does use a particular type of software. And so I had to do a lot of work to get approval from the New South Wales government to use that program in New South Wales schools. We also needed to set up studios, and they were expensive. So for example, I'm coming to you right now from one of the Virtual STEM Academy studios. In fact, I'm coming to you from the very first Virtual STEM Academy that I set up in New South Wales. So we needed quite a bit of money to set up studios, and I didn't have any staff. So I was the only person who was actually delivering lessons on the Virtual STEM Academy when it first started. And because the program was brand new, none of the schools knew anything about it either. So there had to be a lot of work done on letting schools know what the program was about, and then how it is delivered, and then what characteristics the students should have to be involved in the program, as well as what physical equipment and what computer equipment they needed at their end. You asked me about what are some of the highlights of the program. The most pleasing thing for me is the overwhelmingly positive feedback that we get from our students doing a Virtual STEM Academy course. Our courses run for 8 weeks, and they have one 50-minute lesson per week online. And we also set them some homework outside of that one 50-minute lesson per week. And so far, we've had over 1,500 students go through our program. And one of the questions we asked them is, would you recommend this course to other people? And after nearly 4 years and over 1,500 students, the 98.2% of our students have said, yes, we would recommend this course to other people. So the feedback from the students is overwhelmingly positive. And we have a number of students that we have had now in the program for 4 years, and they keep coming back year after year for more courses and more courses and more courses. So that also shows us, the high regard that the students place on our courses, and how engaged and motivated they are to do our programs. As far as our growth goes, the very first year that I started the program, I had 8 students from 4 schools in my hometown here in Griffith. The following year, we had 253 students from 18 schools. The next year, we had 451 students from 38 schools. Last year, we had 765 students from 59 schools. And also last year, I was able to install an additional 5 delivery studios across New South Wales. So we now have studios we now have 7 studios across New South Wales. I have 2 in Griffith where I am, but 5 other studios. And so this year we anticipate that we will have around about 1,500 students go through our program, and we anticipate that we'll probably have about 80 schools involved. So that's been another really pleasing thing about the program is the growth that we've had. The growth has been quite significant, and at the moment we're having trouble keeping up with the demand. We're looking to expand all the time and get funding to do this, but we've had a lot of growth. But to answer your question about the most satisfying thing is seeing students learn skills that they wouldn't typically have the opportunity to learn. It's seeing students engage with professionals on our program. So we have, university lecturers come in and talk to our students. We have scientists come in and talk to our students. We run courses in areas such as forensic science. We run courses in coding, both Python based as well as C++ based. We run courses in communication skills. So using making websites, using things like Canva, Google Classroom, a whole range of other programs to help them be able to share their STEM results with other students. We have programs in space. We have programs on Indigenous seasons. We have programs in scientific inquiry. So there's a whole range of courses. We're introducing a new course very soon on chemistry. And we'll also be introducing courses on physics and engineering studies and biology later on this year as well. Thank you for your question.
Yes, we are able to see.
Okay, so I won't go through all of this, but I'll just go through a couple of things. So this is outside our STEM room. And I'll just move through a couple of slides. I just want to show a few things about myself as well, if I could. So I'm married. My wife is over here on the right-hand side, and I have 3 daughters. And I also have a grandson. So they keep me very busy. My wife and I, we like to travel. And so last year we were very lucky. We got to go to the United Kingdom, and we really enjoyed our time over there. And I also like to stay fit. So these days, for me, staying fit at my age is I do a lot of cycling. And so me and my friends, we do a lot of cycling, a lot of large cycling races. So the largest race that we've done is 250 kilometers. But we do a lot of about 160 kilometer races. And as an example, later on tonight, my friends and I will be doing about a 40K kilometer ride after work. As Sir said, I was lucky enough to be named as a Global Teacher Prize top 50 teacher in 2022. So that 2023, sorry, so that was a real highlight. But I'm going to show you, this is my school. I hope this comes through okay. It's only a very short. So this is inside the STEM room. This is on our virtual STEM Academy. And this is students doing some of our STEM activities on our Science and Engineering Challenge. We also have our Bottle Rocket Challenge, as I mentioned before, where they learn about aerodynamics and those types of things. Lego is heavily involved with our first Lego League. And we also do work in Formula One. So you'll see our students about the same age as what you people are.
There is your age is.
So that's a little bit of a look of what our school looks like. And so just looking, that's our STEM facility there. So I'm coming to you from just inside here. You'll see our quite a large school inside our STEM room. So here's an example where we have some of our primary school students that are doing the Bottle Rocket Challenge. And so they need to make the rocket on the day. Inside our room, we have things like 3D printers. This is a laser engraver. So we're lucky that we've got lots of equipment that we can use with our students. We also do lots of staff training. So I also teach staff how to do the things that they go back and show their students. So just moving forward, just really quickly. So this is the teachers learning how to do the Bottle Rocket Challenge. And then here are the students. So we do robotics, as I mentioned before. We've got the Formula Ones, which we do. This is the solar car that we had come a few weeks ago from Canberra, from the university. So here's our students with the students from the university. We have lots of engineering testing equipment. Our primary school kids come in and learn from us in our STEM room as well. And I go out to the schools and also teach the students at the schools. And here's an example of the kids coming in for one of our events. Here's one of our science and engineering challenges. It's our lending library out for primary schools. Some of our programs are targeted just at females. Our Lego League is very popular. And if I just show you this one really quickly, this is taken from one of our Lego days, and you can see there we've got about 200 students that are in, and they're learning all about STEM, using Lego to learn about STEM, to compete in the Lego competition. So I'll just stop that and go to the next one. So this one's a little bit quicker. So this is from our competition late last year. You can see our students range from 9 years of age to 16 years of age for this competition. So with the Lego League, this is a worldwide competition. And so the students need to solve challenges on the challenge mat by making a robot and then coding it. And the robot needs to be autonomous. So they can't touch the robot once they start it. And they can touch it inside these home areas, but they can't touch it out here on the playing field. And there's a whole range of challenges that the students need to try and solve on that mat. So I'm going to stop sharing. That's a few
So what kind
after
of,
leaving our school.
yeah, what kind of, job opportunities or the career opportunities are in place for them?
We have probably about 20% of our students go on to universities after they finish school, but the vast majority leave to get employment locally or to undertake further study at a place like a TAFE or an apprenticeship. So they might learn to be a welder, or they might learn to be an electrician or a builder. So roughly 20% go to university, but the vast majority go to work. And that work can range from factories that we have in Griffith through to retail. We've got a very vibrant retail community. We've got a very vibrant industrial area. We've got lots of large companies, and we've also got lots of large world-leading wineries, for example. So wine in Griffith is a big industry. Also things like cotton, wheat. There's a whole range of farming jobs that people go into. And some people, obviously don't work at all.
Okay, thank you so much. Here is another question.
Thank you.
Hello, sir. How are you?
I'm very well. How are you?
I'm fine, sir. Thank you. This is Dikshit, a 9th grader from JPHS Sailavaram. It's my pleasure to ask you a question. Can I, sir?
Yes, you may.
Can you share more about the impact of the Large Land Access Program and how it has evolved over the years?
Yeah, the Lachlan Access Program, I was very fortunate. Early in my career, I got posted to a very tiny farming community. And when I talk about a tiny farming community, I'm talking about a town that had 450 people in the whole town. The school had probably 120 students, but those 120 students were from kindergarten right through to year 10. So in the high school part of the school, from year 7 to year 10, we had 50 students only. And so school in New South Wales goes to year 11 and year 12. And so for the students in this town, if they wanted to do year 11 or year 12, they had to leave town to do their final 2 years of school, which at the very minimum was probably an hour on a bus. But for a lot of people, it meant moving town or the student going to a boarding school. And a lot of people in the community couldn't afford to do that. So the idea of the Lachlan Access Program, it was set up to enable my school, which is Ungary Central School at the time, as well as some other neighbouring similar sized schools that only went to year 10, it enabled us to work together to deliver year 11 and year 12 subjects to our students for the first time ever. The curriculum was very small. The students only had an option, I believe, of 8 subjects, and they had to choose 6 of those. So there wasn't a great variety of choice, but it enabled them to stay home with their families and in the local community and get their final 2 years of schooling. We also found that there were a number of local people who had finished school, some people maybe 5-10 years before, and wanted to come back to school. So I had some people in my class that were actually older than me, and I was a teacher. We had one person in particular who had left school probably 30 years before, and she came back to do her final 2 years of school. And so she finished school in her early 50s, and then she went to university and studied to become a teacher, and then came back and worked at the school. So the Lachlan Access Program, it enabled our communities to have our students stay at home and do their whole year 11, year 12. That was really important for the local community because it was such a small community, and it was really important for the parents of those students, because the vast majority of them would have really struggled financially to send their students away to get that final 2 years of schooling. And so a number of the students would not have had the opportunity to actually go past what we call year 10. That the program today still exists, and that's something I'm very proud of. As I said, I started that program early in my career. I'd been teaching for only 3 years. Fortunate that my principal entrusted me to take this program on. And I get a great deal of pleasure. I still have contact with some of the students that I had way back in 1993. They're all now obviously adults and got their own families, and I still keep in contact with a number of those students that I had early on, and I've seen them finish their schooling. I've seen them go into further education and gain valuable employment and lead really good lives. So it's been a real highlight to see that program continues to make a difference for students in those very small rural communities.
पंजाब सिंधु गुजरात मराठा द्राविड़ उत्कल वंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उज्जल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जाने तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगल दायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे.
Okay, thank you so much. See you soon.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.